what's best for the people be what's running the thing, or letting the thing be run by the people that are in power, that are corrupt, that want to keep the power.
If she didn't really know what was going on, right, which is
course.
what she's probably going to say later, oh, I had no idea what my husband and his associates were doing. We'll wait and see what that is, but I think it's pretty freaking ironic.
The drama surrounding Sunny Hostin and her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, has taken a shocking twist, one that's straight out of a legal thriller. Imagine starting your day with a cup of coffee, casually scrolling through the headlines, only to discover that the husband of one of daytime TV's most outspoken hosts is entangled in a massive legal battle. But this isn't just any lawsuit. It's a staggering case involving nearly 200 defendants and allegations so explosive they could rival a Hollywood script. Dr. Hostin, a seasoned orthopedic surgeon with decades of experience, now finds himself at the heart of what's being called one of the largest lawsuits ever filed under the RICO Act in New York. As for Sunny Hostin, the public scrutiny has never been more intense, and the pressure is mounting like never before.
According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgery.
Let's break it down. Dr. Manny Hostin, a highly respected orthopedic surgeon, has been running his own practice, Hostin Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, since 2006. With prestigious credentials from institutions like Johns Hopkins, his reputation seemed untouchable. But now, shocking allegations suggest otherwise. According to the lawsuit, Dr. Hostin is accused of engaging in fraudulent medical practices, performing unnecessary surgeries, billing for treatments that may never have occurred, and pocketing kickbacks disguised as legitimate payments. If these claims hold up, it's the kind of scandal that could shake public trust in the healthcare system to its core.
Emmanuel denied the allegations via a statement through his lawyer, telling Daily Mail that his client, quote, denies each and every allegation and that the lawsuit is a blanket scatter.
The scale of this lawsuit is staggering. This isn't just about one doctor or one clinic, it's an intricate web of alleged fraud involving nearly 200 defendants, including other medical professionals and healthcare facilities. The plaintiff, American Transit Insurance Company, claims they were billed for millions in what they call fraudulent healthcare services. Many of these procedures were tied to New York's no-fault insurance laws, which are meant to ensure quick medical coverage for car accident victims, regardless of who's at fault. But here's the twist: while these laws were designed with good intentions, they're now being accused of creating a loophole ripe for exploitation. And that's exactly where Dr. Hostin allegedly comes into play.
RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys, wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
According to the lawsuit, many of the patients involved were rideshare drivers, people who rely on their vehicles for their livelihood. The claims suggest that some of these drivers, after being in minor accidents, were pushed toward invasive surgeries they didn't actually need. Imagine this: a simple fender bender that might typically warrant a physical therapy referral suddenly turns into a full-blown surgical procedure. And who's left footing the bill? The insurance companies, which argue that these claims were either inflated or outright fraudulent. But this case isn't just about money, it's about trust. Patients depend on their doctors to prioritize their well-being, not to see them as dollar signs. Still, it's important to remember that these are allegations, not proven facts. Dr. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Swats, has come out swinging, calling the lawsuit meritless and accusing American Transit of making a desperate attempt to recover funds as they teeter on the edge of financial collapse. Meanwhile, Sunny Hostin hasn't held back either, calling the case a smear campaign aimed at exploiting her celebrity status.
So we know Sunny Hostin and her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, are preparing for a legal battle to fight accusations that he committed federal insurance fraud.
What makes this case even more explosive is how it collides with Sunny Hostin's public image. As a co-host of TheView, she's built a reputation for her sharp opinions and fearless approach to controversial topics. She's long positioned herself as a champion for justice, using her platform to call out systemic issues in politics, society, and even healthcare. But now, the tables have turned. Instead of being the one demanding accountability, Sunny finds herself in the uncomfortable position of having to defend her own family. Critics have been quick to call out the irony, pointing to the stark contrast between her on-air persona and the serious allegations facing her husband.
And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history.
And then there's the wild card in all of this, JoeRogan. The outspoken podcast host wasted no time roasting Sunny and TheView, calling her out for hypocrisy and questioning just how much she really knew about her husband's alleged activities. Never one to mince words, Rogan ripped into the show, describing it as a rabies-infested henhouse where sensationalism often outweighs substance. He even took a jab at the intelligence of the hosts, a harsh critique that, unsurprisingly, resonated with his audience. His fans quickly jumped on the bandwagon, flooding social media with memes and commentary, turning this legal drama into a full-blown cultural spectacle.
Of Sunny Hostin on TheView, Tom, basically implicating her husband in this type of a scheme.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Despite the headlines and swirling speculation, the legal process is still in its early stages. Dr. Hostin has not been found guilty of anything, and his attorney has made it clear they intend to fight the claims vigorously. What's at stake here isn't just Dr. Hostin's career, it's the integrity of the healthcare system and the public's trust in it. If these allegations prove to be true, they could expose deeper systemic issues, from the vulnerabilities of insurance systems to the ethical responsibilities of medical professionals.
And they're essentially saying that it's a money grab. And they're also going to countersue for millions of dollars, $5 million.
Meanwhile, American Transit Insurance Company has its own motives to consider. Reports suggest the company has faced financial struggles and accusations of mishandling claims in the past. So the question remains, are they genuinely working to expose a massive fraud ring? Or is this a last-ditch effort to shift blame and recover losses? It's a layer of complexity that makes an already tangled situation even murkier. And let's not forget the human impact. For the patients allegedly caught up in this mess, this isn't just a legal battle, it's deeply personal. Imagine trusting a doctor with your health, only to later discover your treatment may have been unnecessary or even harmful. The emotional and physical toll of such an experience is profound, raising critical ethical questions about the responsibilities of medical professionals. Then there's the matter of accountability. Many are asking, how much did Sunny really know? When you're married to someone, can you truly be unaware of their actions, especially in a case this big? As the lawsuit unfolds, all eyes are on Sunny Hostin. Will she continue to stand by her husband, or will she step back to protect her own career? And what about TheView? The show thrives on controversy, but this level of personal drama is a double-edged sword.
But it's just, I mean, Kat, you're married, Tom, you're married. Your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to.
Then there's the question of public perception. Sunny Hostin has built her career on being outspoken and unapologetic, but this scandal is putting her credibility to the ultimate test. How do you reconcile her calls for accountability and justice with the serious allegations facing her own family? It's a contradiction that hasn't gone unnoticed, one that both her critics and supporters are struggling to make sense of. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the drama shows no signs of slowing down. With each new revelation, the story grows more complex, pulling in new players and raising even more questions. What started as a legal battle has now become a cultural flashpoint, igniting debates about ethics, accountability, and the expectations placed on public figures. And as Sunny herself would likely admit, this is far from over. The next chapter promises to be just as explosive, and you can bet we'll be watching every twist and turn. Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started.
Some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failure.
But the storm surrounding Sunny Hostin doesn't stop with her husband's legal drama, far from it. This is Sunny we're talking about, a woman who has built her career on fiery opinions and bold statements on national television. And when you spend years holding others accountable, it's only a matter of time before the spotlight turns back on you. Accusations of hypocrisy have been coming at her fast and furious. And honestly, can you blame people? Between her husband's legal troubles, her controversial takes on TheView, and her undeniable talent for stirring the pot, there's a lot to unpack here.
But it does not look well when your name ends up with 200 people in a RICO investigation. This is the biggest investigation since Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic that she's up there. So, but
let's start with her on-air persona. Sunny has never been one to hold back, often wearing her moral authority like a crown. She's quick to call out systemic issues, political figures, and even her own co-hosts when they don't align with her worldview. But here's the problem: when you position yourself as the ultimate truth teller, people expect you to live up to those same standards. And right now, critics are having a field day pointing out the glaring contradictions between her public stance and her private life. Take her comments about Melania Trump, for instance. Who could forget that just a few episodes ago, Sunny went on a tirade, claiming, "I think she hates him, she doesn't want to be the first lady." Anymore she does destroy the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. Whether you agreed with her or not, it was classic Sunny, unfiltered, biting, and full of speculation. But here's the kicker: while Sunny was busy psychoanalyzing Melania on national television, her own husband was allegedly caught up in a scandal that could send shockwaves through the medical community. To her critics, the irony practically writes itself.
Sunny Hostin of TheView, who's constantly raging about race and reparations and how bad America is with its racial past and all this stuff.
Even within TheView's own panel, Sunny has sparked tensions that have left both viewers and her co-hosts raising their eyebrows. Remember when Alyssa Farah Griffin couldn't hold back and snapped, "I don't think white women like being called uneducated white women." That was in response to Sunny's claim that uneducated white women were to blame for Donald Trump's recent victory. She later tried to walk it back, clarifying that she meant non-college educated white women, but the damage was already done. Comments like that don't just fade into the background, they stick. And for her critics, it was just more ammunition to question her credibility.
The delusion of saying that he has kindness in his heart. He's so mean. He's the meanest president we've ever had. And I was around when Nixon was.
And let's not overlook how Sunny's stance on accountability has evolved, or, some might say, conveniently shifted, depending on who's in the hot seat. For years, she has been a vocal advocate for justice and transparency, repeatedly emphasizing that no one, not even those in power, should be above scrutiny. Yet now, with the spotlight on her own family, she seems to be singing a slightly different tune. Her defense of her husband has been passionate, yes, but also noticeably evasive. Critics have pointed out that while she's quick to demand accountability from others, she's far less forthcoming when it comes to addressing the allegations against Dr. Hostin. And for many, that feels like a glaring double standard.
You have Latino men actually voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms, and why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
One of the most fascinating aspects of this saga is how it highlights the fine line Sunny walks between being a television personality and a public figure. On one hand, she's a co-host of TheView, a show that thrives on heated debates and polarizing opinions. On the other, she's a lawyer and a self-proclaimed advocate for justice, meaning people expect her to practice what she preaches. But here's the thing: when you're in the public eye, your words don't exist in a vacuum. They're scrutinized, dissected, and, yes, sometimes weaponized against you. Right now, Sunny is learning that lesson the hard way. The backlash hasn't just been limited to social media, though that's certainly been a major part of it. From Twitter to Instagram, people have been calling her out for what they see as hypocrisy, with some even crowning her the queen of double standards. One particularly viral tweet summed up the sentiment. Sunny Hostin loves to lecture everyone about morality, but where's that energy when it comes to her husband? Funny how quiet she gets when the tables are turned. The comment sections on posts about her have turned into a battleground, supporters defending her integrity while critics pile on with memes and snide remarks.
Wow. I'm in a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
But perhaps the most intriguing part of this entire situation is Sunny's response, or lack thereof. For someone who has never shied away from a fight, her silence on certain aspects of the allegations against her husband has been deafening. Sure, she's issued statements through her lawyer and broadly dismissed the case as a smear campaign, but she's been noticeably absent when it comes to addressing the finer details. And that silence has only fueled speculation. Is she waiting for the legal dust to settle before speaking out? Or is she deliberately staying out of the fray to protect her own image? Either way, her reluctance to engage head-on isn't quelling the criticism, it's amplifying it.
One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any, is she said, well, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
She should have followed that up with saying something along the lines of, and I understand that that's a departure from the way I've talked about this before. That was to me, the one thing that was missing.
Interestingly, some of Sunny's past comments about accountability and justice are now being used against her. During one particularly fiery episode of TheView, she once said, "If you have nothing to hide, then transparency shouldn't be an issue." That quote has been making the rounds online, with critics pointing out the irony given her current predicament. It's moments like these that highlight just how much public figures are held to their own words, and how quickly those words can come back to haunt them. Then there's the professional fallout to consider. TheView has always been a magnet for controversy, but this situation feels different. This isn't just about a heated debate or an offhand comment, it's about one of their own being at the center of a legal scandal. How does the show navigate that? Do they address it head-on, or let Sunny handle it on her own? And what about the other hosts? Whoopi Goldberg has never been one to mince words, but even she might tread carefully here. After all, as much as TheView thrives on drama, there's a fine line between entertainment and real-life consequences.
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny, she is so wrapped up in identity and she has no idea who she was.
And let's not overlook the broader cultural implications of this entire saga. In an era where public figures are constantly under the microscope, Sunny's situation serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of living in the spotlight. It's a stark reminder that when you build your brand on being outspoken and unapologetic, you have to be ready for the backlash when things don't go according to plan. For Sunny, this isn't just a legal battle, it's a test of her resilience, her reputation, and her ability to navigate the choppy waters of public opinion.
I think that it's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He throws the garbage out. He does the heavy stuff.
But here's the million-dollar question. Where does Sunny go from here? Does she double down and continue defending her husband, even if it means inviting further scrutiny? Or does she take a step back, focus on her family, and let the legal process play out? Either way, one thing is certain, this story is far from over. The legal battle is just beginning, the public discourse is heating up, and Sunny Hostin finds herself at the center of a storm she never saw coming. Whether she weathers it or gets swept away remains to be seen. But beyond the personal drama, there's a bigger conversation at play. What will the lasting impact be, not just on Sunny and her family, but on the broader discussions of accountability, justice, and the role of public figures in society? Will this be a turning point for Sunny, forcing her to reassess her approach to public life? Or will it simply be another chapter in the ever-evolving saga of TheView? Let's talk about it in the comments.